Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Start the Week with Spencer. This is our weekly webinar here at Doman International, where we take questions from parents from all around the world. And we always invite parents of children with special needs to ask us their biggest, most important questions. Today, we're going to be doing a special webinar, which is called, Is the Doman Method Right for Your Family? We often get questions from parents from around the world about what is the Doman Method? Can it help my child? Is this program relevant to my child's challenges and my family? And so in today's presentation, we're really going to try to answer the most common questions we get from families and hopefully leave you all with a better sense of what the Doman Method is and how it can help your child. I'm joined here by Colleen Hudson, who is the Director of Representatives. She's the first person to speak to new families on the phone when they contact Doman International. Colleen, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
And so I'm going to jump right into the presentation. So give me one moment while I share my screen. Perfect. Colleen, can you see the slide?
Yes, I see the slide. I also see the other slides on the side. It hasn't come up yet.
And do you see, now does it say the 6 questions we will answer?
It does not. No, it's frozen on. Oh, there we go. Okay, now it went.
Oh. What do you see now?
What I see now is a sort of ghost box over the 6 questions that says, show slideshow window. There's a button.
All right, I don't like that. Sorry, everyone. Let me see if... let's see if this works. All right, now can you see the entire slide?
Now it looks as
perfect. All right, so as I said, this webinar is called "Is the Doman Method Right for My Family?" I'm going to try to answer 6 common questions that we get from parents of children with special needs when they're learning about the Doman Method. The most common question we probably get is, which children and diagnoses can be helped by Doman International? So I'll try to answer that question. Second, what are the kinds of activities, the treatments that are actually included in the Doman Method? What are the results, right? What can we expect for our child if we begin the treatment of Doman International? What makes Doman International unique? What's different about DI from the thousands of different options out there for parents of children with special needs? Is the Doman Method right for my family, right? Many parents, when they come to us, they're not just interested in, is this the right program for my child to help get the results that we're looking for? Of course, that's the biggest question, but is this going to fit well in our family's life? Is this something which is compatible with our lives? And so I will try to answer that question. And then last but not least, what is Doman International's recommended path for my family? What do we recommend you do as next steps? So I'm going to try to answer all of these questions and other questions in the webinar. Usually the first question we'll get from a parent is, what children and diagnoses are helped by the Doman Method? And it's understandable why. Parents want to make sure that their child can actually be helped. They don't want to waste time looking into things that aren't going to help their child. And so here I'm listing for you some of the most common diagnoses that we see at Doman International. These are the most common diagnoses. So we have likely seen now thousands of children who have been given these diagnoses, but I want to say there are many others that are not listed here. So the most common include autism, cerebral palsy, ADD and ADHD, learning difficulties and dyslexia, epilepsy, which are seizures, developmental delay, brain injury. We have children who have been diagnosed with cortical blindness and visual impairment, speech delay, right? Delayed speech because of a neurodevelopmental issue, trisomy 21, also known as Down syndrome, and we've now helped children with hundreds of different genetic disorders, some more common, some incredibly rare. and hundreds of more diagnoses that we couldn't possibly list on this slide. When we last checked, we had well over 400 different diagnoses that were represented with the children on our program. I'd like to say that some children that come to Doman International have 2, 3, 4, 5 of these different diagnoses that have been given to them. And the first thing I want to say about all of these, the thing that they all have in common, is that all of them originate in the brain. The brain is the command center of the human body, right? Everything we're able to do, we can do because of our brains, right? Your ability to watch and understand me right now is because of the magnificent ability of your brain to take in information. And my ability to talk to you and express myself is because of my brain's ability to express, right? Through those motor pathways of speech and moving my arms. And so the brain is the command center. And the issue is if the brain is injured, right? Or if it did not develop in the proper way, that's going to impact the way we are able to function in daily life. So all of these children, even though their symptoms might appear very different, all of their issues, the root cause problem is in the brain. And that's an important thing to understand, because if you don't address the root cause problem, the symptoms won't go away. Let me give an example of this. Imagine if someone goes to the doctor and they say to the doctor, "Doctor, I have a terrible problem. I'm having the worst chest pains I've ever had, and I can't feel my left arm. It's gone numb, and I feel incredibly nauseous." A good doctor will see that patient and say, these are all symptoms, but the root cause problem is this patient is having a heart attack, and I better address the heart right now. And if I do that, the symptoms will go away. A bad doctor would say, you have chest pains. Here's a pill for the pain in your chest. And, you can't feel your left arm. Let me massage it for you. And, you're feeling nauseous. Here's anti-nausea medication. And we know that patient would likely die because the root cause is not being solved. You cannot make the root cause go away by addressing the symptoms. You have to address the root cause to make the symptoms go away. So all of these children have a similar root cause, which is in the brain. And so what we've been doing with the Doman Method for 70 years is studying the brain, understanding the root cause, and then creating treatments that help address brain development. And when we get the brain to develop faster, the symptoms start to go away. And fortunately, Doman International had a head start in this process. In the early 1950s, Glenn Doman, my grandfather, was saying that all of these issues originated in the brain and that the brain could grow by use. The brain can grow by use. Now, just to give you an idea, he was saying that in the early 1950s, the term neuroplasticity, which means the brain grows by use, right, wasn't even really used until the 1970s widely. And most of the research that demonstrated that neuroplasticity existed wasn't really done until, let's say, the early 2000s. So we had a kind of like 50-year head start on the rest of the world on understanding neuroplasticity and how the brain grows and develops. And that time came in very, very usefully in terms of discovering ways of helping the brain. And that's why we've been able to do this now for 70 years. When you've been treating the brain for 70 years, you learn a lot about what works and you learn a lot about what doesn't work. And when you find something that doesn't work, right, when we find something that doesn't work, we stop wasting time on it and we move our attention and time to things that do work for kids. Because in the end, what matters to us for all of these children are results. If an autistic child can't talk, let's get that child talking. If a child with cerebral palsy can't walk, let's get that child walking. If a child with ADD can't focus, let's help the brain develop better so that they can focus. If a child can't learn something, let's focus on the learning areas of the brain, get that child learning faster, right? So all of these issues are based on symptoms, but we've learned how to treat the root cause. So now that I've explained, and by the way, if you have a child with another diagnosis, neurodevelopmental, genetic diagnosis, feel free to type it into the comments box. And at the end of the presentation, I will get to questions. I can talk about if the Doman Method can be helpful for your child. Now, once we've addressed that, okay, your child is a child who can be helped by the Doman method, what kinds of treatments and activities are included in the Doman method? Well, when we sat down last and counted how many different treatments and activities are included in the Doman method that we have available at our disposal, that we've discovered over the last 70 years, we had nearly 500 different treatments and activities. So I can't possibly in today's presentation talk to you about 500 different activities, but I can tell you what are the categories, the components of the Doman method. What are the different areas we target when we're working with a child with special needs? So you can see in front of you an image. In the middle, it says Doman method, and then there are the 6 components of the Doman method around it. Let me take about a minute to describe each of these because they're so important in helping children improve. So I'll start at the top. You can see it says nutrition and supplementation. When children begin the Doman method, one of the first things we focus on is their nutrition, which includes their diet, right? What they're eating, what they're drinking, and supplementation. What are vitamins and minerals and supplements that they need to help address and improve brain function and development? This is very important because most parents of children with special needs at this point have heard of the gut-brain connection. And the gut is often now called the second brain because there are more than 500 million neurons, brain cells, in our digestive tract. And in fact, a huge number of our hormones that are responsible for good brain function, a majority of those are now produced in the gut, right? We now know that. And so nutrition and supplementation, very, very important for improving gut function and improving brain function. So every child in the Doman method gets a nutrition and supplementation program. The second component, I'm going to go in a clockwise motion. The second component is sensory stimulation. The sensory pathways are the highways carrying information into the brain, right? So your child has 5 ways that they can learn from the world. They can see, they can hear, they can feel, they can taste, they can smell. Everything your child will ever learn, everything you've ever learned, Albert Einstein ever learned, we all learn through those 5 pathways. The problem is for children with special needs, because their brain development has not been adequate, right? It hasn't been fully developed. Those sensory pathways now have barriers that limit the brain's ability to take in information. That affects learning ability. That's very serious. And so what we do is we do sensory integration with children to help improve their sensory pathways so they see better, hear better, feel better. Now they're in a much better place to respond to the environment around them. And for those highways carrying information into the brain, to do so without any barriers or obstacles. The third component is mobility. When children begin the Doman method, usually they fall into one of 2 groups. Either they cannot walk or they can walk. For the children who cannot walk, over the last 70 years, we have been discovering ways of helping those children learn how to walk. My grandfather, Glenn, who started all of this work, was a physical therapist. And actually, what led him down the path of creating what is now called the Doman method was that he found that the methods he learned in school as a physical therapist in training were not helping his patients, right? He would move arms and legs to try to get children with brain injuries or adults with brain injuries to move better, and they weren't moving better because he wasn't treating the root cause problem. He was trying to address the symptoms. And so he started the process of creating his own programs that would directly result in improved brain development, and that collection of programs later were called the Doman method. So for children who cannot walk, we now have dozens of different treatments that can help those children learn to walk. Now, sometimes parents will say, oh, but my child walks and runs. They don't have any mobility problems. Here's the important thing to know. There are many mobility activities that lead to brain development that are important for improving learning ability, sensory abilities, reducing hyperactivity, improving focus and concentration, improving speech development. So even for children who can walk and run, there are specific mobility activities we do with those children because they help address brain development that are creating all kinds of problematic symptoms for the child. So even for children who run, we have found great mobility activities to help them get better in focus and concentration, speech, learning ability, and many other areas. The fourth component you can see at the bottom of your screen is cognition and speech. The Doman Method is probably most famous for our cognitive programs, like our early reading programs, our early math programs. As far as I know, the Doman Method is the only program in the world where you'll see a 2-year-old with Down syndrome reading. I don't think anyone else has ever achieved anything like that. By the way, I just mentioned it. I mentioned Down syndrome because it's the most common genetic diagnosis that we see. The Doman Method is the only treatment program that I know of that has led to children with Down syndrome getting university degrees, including master's, advanced university degrees. So the cognitive programs are very famous. You know, we have 3-year-old children with autism who read and write. We have, 4-year-olds with cerebral palsy who are able to type, right? All kinds of incredible things that most of the world still doesn't know are even possible. And along with cognitive development, of course, speech development, right? One of the most common issues when families come to us that they talk about is problems with speech development. And so we've developed many programs to help improve speech and get a child talking. The fifth component, very much unique to the Doman Method, is called oxygenation. We have specific oxygenation programs that have been created to increase oxygen delivery to the brain. Oxygen is the food of the brain, right? To give you an example, humans can survive weeks even without food or water, but we can only survive maybe 3 or 4 minutes without oxygen. The brain absolutely relies on a steady, constant flow of oxygen to function properly. And so we have programs that increase oxygen delivery to the brain, which can be very helpful for recovery from brain injury and for better brain function. Oxygenation, for example, can, and I'll just list some of the things that it can help with. It can help reduce seizures. It can help improve speech development. It can reduce spasticity and tightness in muscles and help improve coordination and balance. It can improve focus and concentration and learning ability, just to mention a few of the things that it can help. Last but not least, we have social development, right? How do we help a child become mature, responsible, and independent? That's kind of the last puzzle piece that we put into place because social development is dependent on improvements in the other areas. We have to get a child, in terms of their cognition and speech, able to learn, able to express themselves. We need to get them walking and running, right? We need to get them to the point where they're ready to go to school and join their peers and succeed there. And so when we have gotten lots of great improvements in the other areas, we can then focus on social development to help prepare the child for success in school and in life. Now, around these 6 components of the Doman Method, you can see text around it that says parents' love, dedication, and determination. This is because those 6 components, that's what we teach families, right? That's how we empower families to help their children improve. The parents bring the love, the dedication, and the determination. And it's all of these things together that produce amazing results for the children. And I keep saying children, but when I really mean children and adults. We have teenagers and many adults currently on the Doman Method making incredible strides. So what are the results of the Doman International Treatment Program? I just showed you those different components. Well, when you do those different programs, what are the results? I'd like to show you some statistics of the children and adults who have been on the Doman Method. Now, before I show you these statistics, I'd like to make a few comments. The first thing is, I'd like to ask you, how many other organizations or clinics do you know of who report publicly on the success of their treatment programs? My guess is probably zero, probably. By the way, if you know of an organization that does this, that reports publicly the statistics of achievement on their program, please send that information to me because I almost never see it. And by the way, even if you go to most practitioners in private and you say to a speech therapist, hey, what percentage of your patients do you get talking? Or do you go to a physical therapist, what percentage of your patients do you get walking? Most of them will look at you like you have two heads, okay? Like you're insane for even asking the question. And that's not because they're bad people. It's because either, number one, they've never even thought to track it, right? It's just never occurred to them. Why would I track results? That's not a good sign. Or they intuitively know the statistics would be so bad, they don't want to know. They either don't want to tell others or they don't want to know. So that's the reality of this industry. Many people in this industry of helping children with special needs are not serious in the sense they don't get impressive results. And they don't take their job seriously. And listen, I know I can come off as really harsh here, but keep in mind, we're harsh on ourselves. That's why we release our statistics publicly. One reason is to demonstrate how effective the Doman method is. But another reason we release our statistics is to keep accountability on ourselves to get better results. And for that reason, all clinics, therapists should be releasing their results publicly because it's the best accountability for getting better. Let me go through some of the results of Doman International treatment. By the way, you can take a photo of this slide if you'd like. It's also available on our website. Now, I won't be going over all these statistics with you just because of lack of time, but I want to go through a few of them. So let's start with seeing. So of the children tracked on the Doman method, 89% of children who were functionally blind began to see on the program. 89%. That's almost 9 in 10 children who started blind because of brain damage learned to see while they were on the program. By the way, began to see doesn't mean they started to see little bits of color. For a child to be included in this statistic, they have to differentiate pictures. So it means you show them a picture of an elephant and a dog and you say, where's the elephant? And they show you, okay, that child can clearly see. So 9 in 10 children functionally blind due to brain injury learn to see on the Doman method. Reading. Reading is our most impressive result. 90% of children who are unable to read learn to read on the program. Our learning results are so impressive because we have learned over the last 70 years how to teach children, even children who cannot talk, how to read in the best possible way. And that's why, even with children with poor speech, we get such impressive reading results. And the Doman method around the world is almost synonymous with early childhood reading. And you could go on YouTube and look up Doman reading and see videos of 12-month-olds reading words because parents post those videos. All right, next, let's go over to the right. You can see walking. Walking, it says 54%. 54% of children who are unable to walk when they started the Doman method began to walk after the treatment. Keep in mind, these statistics are on children who did the program at least 6 months, but some of them only 6 months. So that means some children started walking even after 6 months or began seeing or reading after 6 months. So 54% began walking with the treatment. All right, let's go down to, and again, I just want to restate, I have never seen another organization or clinic talk about what percentage of children they get walking. I've just never seen any other method besides the Doman method talk about those stats. Comprehension, bottom left-hand quarter, 87% of children who couldn't understand basic sentences. If you told them, grab the ball and bring it to me, right? They could not understand. 87% of children who could not understand sentences began to understand them. Speech development, 59% of children who are unable to talk began speaking. When we say began speaking, we don't mean they said their first word. We mean for a child to be included in this, they have to speak words and also begin to speak couplets, like word pairs, like come here, dad's home, right? Those are word pairs. So to be included, there are many children who spoke their first words that are not included in that 59% because they did not speak couplets yet. And then last but not least, 48% of children who are unable to write learn to write on the program. Writing is one of the most challenging things to achieve with a child with special needs because it requires reading ability, fine motor skills, good vision, but still 48% of children unable to write learn to write on the program. So we are constantly working on improving these results, and that's why we publicly state them to everyone on our own website. Let's talk a little bit about what makes Doman International unique. You know, when my grandfather started this work in the 1950s, there were no answers for parents of children with special needs, no options. And so when he started this work and showed it to parents, your child's root cause issue is in the brain, but good news, the brain can grow and develop. It was obvious for parents what was the best option out there. Now we live in a very different world where parents go online and now they have thousands of options constantly in their face about what they could do with their child. And this can lead to overwhelm and confusion. And sometimes what's called paralysis by analysis, where parents are kind of considering all the different options out there and it's overwhelming. Sometimes they do nothing because it's so overwhelming. They don't know what to do. They don't know what will help their child. And so I want to talk about, you know, with the thousands of things out there, what are things that make Doman International unique, that make us different from everything else? Well, the first thing is that for 70 years, the Doman Method has helped thousands of special needs children learn to walk, learn to talk, and succeed in school and life. For over 70 years, we've helped thousands of children learn to walk, talk, and succeed in school and life. In other words, we've gotten life-changing results and learned a lot in the process. Each one of those children, their lives were changed, but we were also changed because we learned about what worked from them. We were able to take that knowledge and help other children with it. The next thing is, no matter what anyone tells you, we know that your special needs child has great potential and an innate intelligence, and we help you discover it. So many parents, when they've come to us, they've heard from doctors and professionals their children will not get better. Usually parents are told in one way or another, your child may never walk, your child may never talk, your child may never succeed in school, your child may never live independently. They're told all kinds of devastating things by people that don't have a crystal ball. They can't tell the future, but they tell parents that. They give false despair to parents, false despair. And we know from experience that your child has a great potential and an innate intelligence. Even if they can't talk, even if they can't move their arms and legs well, even if they can't yet express it well, we help you discover that potential and intelligence. And lastly, our team will work hand in hand with you to provide solutions for your child, right? This is a partnership where you know your child better than anyone else. You love your child more than anyone else. We need your help, right? In terms of better understanding your child, getting to know your child. And then what seems impossible to others is possible with us, and we'll support you every step of the way. So we teach you what to do for your child. And as your child sees results with the program, we'll support you every step of the way by answering your questions, help you navigate obstacles, and achieve the goals for your child that we're all set out to achieve together. Well, now I get to the question that really this webinar is all about, which is the Doman Method right for my family, right? And I mentioned before that it's not just about, is the Doman Method right for your child? If your child has a brain injury or a neurodevelopmental condition, autism, cerebral palsy, developmental delay, speech delay, or many of the other diagnoses, or a genetic condition that leads to those issues, I'm sure the Doman Method can help your child like it's helped 40,000 children over the past 70 years. We're confident about that. But the real question here is it right for your family? Is it right for all of you? And so what I would ask you all to consider is, can you answer yes to these three questions? If the answer is yes, then we believe the Doman Method is right for your family. So first of all, are you looking for a holistic, drug-free approach to address all of your child's developmental problems? Right? Are you looking for something holistic that's going to address your child's entire development and not just looking for a quick drug fix? Unfortunately, that doesn't exist. To address all of your child's developmental problems. That's question number one. Question number two, are you open to giving the time and effort to learn about the Doman Method from our team of coaches, right? It will take some time and effort for you as parents to learn from us about how to implement the Doman Method with your child at home. So can you give that time and effort? We'll give you the knowledge and experience, but can you give the time and effort? Last but not least, are you willing to give up at least 1 hour of your time daily, at least 1 hour, to do our recommended treatments for your child? Now, we say at least 1 hour of time. It says they're ideally up to 3 hours a day, because in our experience, if a family is able to give 3 hours a day, the results come even faster. But can you give at least an hour to get started to do our recommended treatments for your child? Every family is different. Some families are able to give more time, some less time. But whatever amount of time you can dedicate, we will help you with the time that you're available. I do want to say one thing. Sometimes people think we mean 3 hours in a row there. We don't, right? It could be it could be 1 hour here and 1 hour there, right? So this time could be split up throughout the day. Doesn't all have to be in a single block. So can you answer yes to these three questions? If yes, then in our experience, the Doman Method is right for your family. Now, let me just quickly say when the Doman Method may not be right for a family, because at Doman International, we don't like wasting time. And the last thing I'd want to do is waste the time of a family where the Doman Method just isn't right for them. And so let's talk about who this program is not for. First of all, if a family is looking for some kind of magic pill to fix all problems overnight, that's not what the Doman Method is, right? The Doman Method is, we teach you the best treatments for your child, you implement them, and over time we see really great results. But it's not a magic pill. It takes time and effort. And I do have to say, if there was a magic pill, we would know about it. We've been around for 70 years. We haven't found the magic pill yet. By the way, if there was a magic pill, we'd be the first ones to offer it too. But unfortunately, that doesn't exist yet. And anyone who's promising it to you, probably not being honest. So that's the first thing. If a parent's just looking for a magic pill, this isn't the right place for them. The second thing is when parents aren't able to give any time or organize helpers to do the Doman Method with their child. Once in a while we'll get contacted by a parent and they'll say something like, yeah, we just don't have the time. We don't have time. Can you just send someone, or is there someone we can call who could do the program with our child? And the thing is, once in a while I'll even have a kind of a data CEO type or member of a royal family or something say to me, Spencer, just tell me how much to write on a check and you come and do the program with my child. But we're not going to be involved in this. There are a few reasons why we don't do that. First of all, this allows us to help many more children, right? But second of all, parents get better results when they work with their children than if we work directly with the child, right? Because children are more comfortable at home with their parents. They love their parents. They have the personal connection. And so we find when children are comfortable and happy at home, they get better results than if they were to come into a clinic and we do the treatment with them. So that's really, really important. Parents are an essential part of the success here, right? As I said, we bring our knowledge and experience, and they bring their love and dedication to the child. And the last thing is when parents just want to outsource all treatment to professionals, when parents just want to say, yeah, okay, we'll drive our kid to therapy, but that's it, Again, the Doman method is about empowering families and parents. And so we need the parents, as I said on the last slide, to commit to perhaps even just an hour a day to do the recommended treatments for their children. That time pays off big time in terms of amazing results, but we need parents to be involved in their children's lives. Well, I'm going to get to questions in a second. We do have some time. I just want to finish off by what is Doman International's recommended path for my family, right? And so if you're interested in kind of learning more about Doman International and perhaps beginning a program with your child, let me talk about what those next steps look like. I'm going to start by showing a video actually of what it's like to come to Doman International's clinic. Doman International, it's obviously by the name, is an international organization. We see families in 10 different locations around the world. Our headquarters are here in Philadelphia in the United States, but we also have a clinic in Pisa, Italy, which is our European headquarters. Families come from around Europe to see us there. We also see children in Serbia and Croatia, in India, in Russia, in Australia and New Zealand, California, Florida. So we see families around the world in different locations. Here you're going to see a video of what it's like to come to Doman International's clinic from a family standpoint. I think this video is only about a minute long. Let's watch.
Having an initial visit with Doman International is an opportunity to learn from the world's leading experts in child development for children with special needs. When a family arrives on the first day, the child is evaluated by a Doman Method coach. This evaluation helps Doman International staff assess the child's current abilities and get to know the child. This evaluation, along with a medical examination and a developmental and program review, allows the staff to best help parents and child. The team at Doman International then meets to discuss the child's case and to design the very best program for the child. This meeting includes Doman International's directors and members of the cognitive, physical, nutrition, and respiratory development teams. Now that the child's Doman Method program is designed, the family meets with one member of each department to learn the best program for the child. This includes a cognitive program focused on improving comprehension, speech, and sensory abilities, a physical program to improve mobility and manual ability, a respiratory program to improve respiration and brain function, as well as a nutrition program to design the very best nutritional plan for that child. Each family is given the time they need to learn their new program in full, meeting the experts in each field. The visit ends with a meeting with a Doman International director, who answers any final questions the family has. The family now has a fully designed treatment program for the next 6 months. Best of all, the family is given a Doman International staff coach who is there to answer any questions they have when they are at home. This guidance, coaching, and support can make all the difference. Contact Doman International to inquire about our evaluations worldwide.
So I will pause it there. And, I want to make a quick comment. I'm going to go back. Let's see if I can do this. I wanted to show you all right here. So this, I love this clip. It's two children at our campus in Italy, and their parents are learning from the founder of our organization, my dad, Douglas Doman. And the two kids are just entertaining one another. And on the left-hand side, you can see a boy named George, and then on the right, a girl named Maria. This family has done the Doman Method with both of their children. And the boy on the left, George, after 18 months of doing the Doman Method, graduated from our program, meaning he was ready to go to school with his peers. When he started the program, he was 7 years old. He could not read, could not do math, could not write. He was hypersensitive to sounds that made him very distracted in school, that made it hard for him to focus. And he also had social difficulties interacting with other children. He was the kind of kid who would kind of like sit in the corner at a party and not interact with other kids. And so after 18 months of the program, he could read, do math, write above age level. He no longer had hypersensitivity problems and was a social butterfly. And so he graduated from the program. And this is the ultimate goal of the program, for children to get to the point where parents and the staff agree the child is ready to go off into life, go to school, succeed, right? And parents and our team agreed George is ready. Maria has Down syndrome. So this is a brother and sister duo, both who needed the Doman Method. And Maria, when she started our program, she had 2 words of speech, only 2 words at, I believe it was 4 years of age. If you can imagine, normal 4-year-old has thousands of words. She only had a few. And with the program, her speech blossomed. She learned how to read, do math, write. She now reads independently, writes independently, does, basic arithmetic mentally. She speaks fluently in 2 languages, in her native Portuguese and in English. And so both children now are in school, succeeding, doing great. They've made friends. And it's not every day that we have 2 children that graduate from the program, but from the same family. But very, very special experience. Oh, I have one other video I'll show you here. Just because I mentioned before, the ultimate goal of the Doman Method is graduation from the program. I mentioned before, I don't know of other treatment methods that release statistics. I also don't know of other treatment methods that graduate children from their program, meaning they announce to the world, this child no longer needs our treatment, right? The treatment was so effective, we've eliminated the need for it. Most of the children who come onto the Doman Method, parents have been told that it's a lifelong condition. So here's a video of Alexa. Alexa is a 12-year-old boy who graduated from our program this March, just a few months ago. Alexa started our program 18 months ago, diagnosed with autism. He had some really severe speech issues. He couldn't really, it was hard for others to understand him. It was hard for him to communicate his thoughts and needs. He couldn't tell stories. Like, he was able to speak in sentences, but he couldn't talk about experiences that he had had with others. He had auditory hypersensitivity issues. His reading and math were way below age level, as was his writing. So even though he started the program at around 11, he was at something like a 6 or 7-year-old level, way behind where he should be, not succeeding in school, not making friends. And so his mother did the Doman Method with Alexa, and for 18 months. And his speech has become fluent. He's now able to tell stories. He can talk to you about experiences. He's also started to learn English. When he came in for his last visit, he made eye contact with me, shook hands. The boy who was once all over the place and not able to communicate is now confident and has good focus and concentration. And his reading and math and writing skills are now at age level. So now he's in school with his age level peers and he's succeeding. When I spoke to his mom last before the graduation from the program, she told me, I don't think he needs anything anymore. He's doing great, and often mom said that when she tells other people, he was diagnosed as having severe autism. people don't believe her. They say, oh, come on, like this kid, impossible. So here's Alexa. This is him at his graduation. We had just presented him with his certificate that he's graduated from the program. He's done. He now all he has to worry about is school, but he doesn't have to worry about his Doman Method program anymore. And this is him kind of rejoicing. You'll hear his mom saying bravo in the background for his achievement. And, I do want to say, again, Alexa's 12 years old. So for anyone who's thinking, oh, this is something they can only achieve with 2-year-olds, young, tiny children. No, the brain's ability to change and develop occurs throughout our lifetimes. And so we have children even at Alexa's age who are graduating from the program. So for anyone who wants more information, here is Colleen Hudson's contact information. Colleen, I'd like to hand it over to you now in case you want to say anything else about how people can contact you or ask questions. Anything you'd like to say, Colleen?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, please, if you're watching this and thinking, I definitely want to learn more about working with the staff directly, then send me an email. You can direct message us through any of our social media platforms, Instagram or Facebook, because I see all of those messages and I'll get right back to you. Please do include the country that you're writing from. That's really helpful because we do have representatives around the world. So I can get you in touch with the right rep if it's not me. And the other thing is, coming to Start the Week with Spencer on a regular basis is also a great way to stay engaged with us since we have this every week. And it's a really good forum for parents who are even just reading the books and getting to learn. There's so much to learn. And of course, time is of the essence, but taking the time to get as much information as possible is just going to set you up for success.
Colleen, would you mind giving your phone number as well?
Oh, yeah, sure. It's country code 1-814-232-8668. And you can text me, or if you're outside the US or Canada, you can send me a WhatsApp message or call, of course.
There's the number. Perfect. All right. Well, listen, we've got about 10 minutes to take questions. Let's see here. Got a lot of nice comments on Instagram, just people saying thank you. Thanks to everyone who wrote the messages. Vito says respect. Oh, sure. Our pleasure. Yeah. So whether you're joining right now on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, you can go ahead and type your questions into the comments box. Virginia says, thank you. It was so enlightening. God bless you. Thank you, Virginia. That's so kind.
So Virginia had also asked a question about help with funding.
Here.
Yeah.
Do you have any donors who can sponsor the first checkup or help in a way of funding for the child to be assessed? So, Virginia, we do have certain donors who have given donations for families for scholarships. Usually, because these are restricted donations given by the donors themselves, it is up to them about how the donations are used. But yes, certainly if you're interested, please reach out to us. And we'll there's also, I remember, Colleen, one of my colleagues, Jordan, wrote an article about fundraising some time ago about Doman International. I haven't looked that up in a while, but I'm not sure. Have you seen that, Colleen?
I have, actually, and it's and I think Julie may even have updated it somewhat. So we know many families, as Spencer said, the donations that we receive for any kind of family support are restricted. We do have a Glenn Doman scholarship for families who are military, retired, or active, because Glenn was very proud of his military service, and we support that too. None of these are full scholarships, by the way; they're all partial. But we've got many families around the world who are effectively using like GoFundMe or other kinds of fundraising activities. Oakley's mom has been posting lately about a raffle, I think, that they're doing, like kind of a fun fair raffle. It's a big event in their town, but it's all to help Oakley, go back to see the staff in Italy again, and he's doing so great. So she's been posting on her Instagram. If you don't follow Acorn Updates, please do, because it's Acorn, ACORN updates, because her Instagram is great. But she's been talking about the preparations for that as well, and that's the kind of thing that a lot of our families have done. Parents often tell us, once they start reaching out to people in their community, even local fundraising, charitable organizations and things like that, that they're really like shocked and so happy to find out how many people right in their community say, oh, there's a kid with special needs here and we can help them. We want to do that. And it makes everybody feel like they're really benefiting, a member of their circle. And so it's worth an ask for sure.
Colleen, we have a comment on Instagram that says, "Hi, Colleen. I'm Lydia from the Netherlands."
Yeah, Lydia.
Yeah.
How are you? Lydia is coming to, her son is Valencio. They're coming to Olia in a few weeks.
Coming to Italy. Great.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Let's see. Well, everyone, we've got a few more minutes. If you have any other questions, go ahead, type them in the comments box, and we will get to them in order. Colleen, could you maybe just go over the upcoming schedule for appointments in terms of availability? Like, when's the next appointment available in Philadelphia, Europe?
Yes. So we have one live appointment in Philadelphia for July. There's just one spot left for July 14th. Now that's coming up, but if someone very low, I do have a call today with a mom who's quite local, but if someone is very local, it might be a good opportunity to come and see us then. After that, we will have an opening in September. We have 2 openings for September 15th. And then in October, there's 1 opening. And then November, December are a little bit more open. But I've been telling families, we do reserve specific weeks for our initial families, because the first appointment is, a little different, a little more involved. So we make sure that we've got plenty of time with you. And we want to, give you everything you can, or everything you need in that time, those 3 days. Then, of course, we will be in Italy in a couple of weeks to see our families there. I think there are just a couple spots available for that visit still. And then after that, we'll be there at the end of October. But that I feel like the October visit tends to be very, very popular. So
it tends to be the busiest.
Yeah. So if anybody is thinking about October in Italy, please get in touch with me as soon as possible. There's plenty to do between now and then. You won't just be sitting at home twiddling your thumbs. We've got a lot to help you prepare, but you want to make sure that you secure your spot, because it's going to go. And we do always have remote appointments available too, but the live ones are, more restricted.
Absolutely. All right. I think we've gotten to all the questions. Well, for everyone who's joined late, if you rewatch this video, I go through a whole webinar, a whole presentation called "Is the Doman Method Right for Your Family?" I highly recommend you watch it. I try to address all the most commonly asked questions from parents about the Doman Method. And yeah, I hope you find it interesting and inspiring.
May I say
Go
one
ahead.
more thing?
Absolutely.
If you are a parent and you're watching this or thinking, oh, I missed it, but I want to see it, watch the rest of it after. I propose that if you can get your spouse to sit down with you and watch it, it's a really good idea, because Spencer has explained exactly how this all works. And if you both have an understanding of it from the beginning, then you can have good conversations about whether this might be a good step for you. So I highly recommend, whether you're mom or dad, get your spouse or your partner involved and just watch it together.
That's a great thought, Colleen. I wish I had said that myself. All right, everyone. Well, have a great rest of your week. We'll be back here next week at the same time. We do this show every week at this time. Next week, I'm really excited. I'm going to have a guest on. Her name is Ashley. She's a mom of a child on our program named Callie. Callie's almost 2 years old, and Ashley's going to be talking. Ashley's only been doing the program for 4 months, so she's relatively new to it. But the results with Callie have been so special that I asked her to join the show and just talk about her experience. And I think it'll be very valuable for new parents to hear from a parent who's maybe 4 months ahead of them what the road looks like. All right, Colleen, everyone, thanks so much for joining. We'll be back here next week at the same time. Bye-bye.
Bye.